Memphis is the home of the blues, rock and roll, and Earle Farrell.
From the Collierville Square to the mighty Mississippi, the Earle Farrell for Memphis show is all about good things that happen across the Bluff City and the people who make Memphis cool.
The Earle Farrell for Memphis show is made possible by our title sponsor, Southern Security Federal Credit Union, and by Kathy Thurman Edwards, State Farm Insurance.
By Dive Shop and Dive Ventures nationwide. Jim Karras Chevrolet with George Gully. Napa Cafe Memphis and Glenda Hastings. Phoenix Unequaled Home Entertainment. For Memphis Magazine. The Live at the Garden Concert Series. And the Orpheum Theater Group Memphis. And by Mitch Wright Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, family owned and operated for more than 40 years. Thank you to all the sponsors for making this possible.
And now, coming to you from Lansky Brothers, Clothier to the King, inside the world-famous Peabody Hotel, with the heart of a cowboy and Memphis in his soul. Ladies and gentlemen, here's your host, Earle Farrell.
And thank you very much, and welcome into Lansky's Clothier to the King and me. Today I wear a different jacket on every show, and people say, where'd you get all those clothes? I said, there's only one place you could get these clothes, Lansky's Brothers at the Peabody. And Hal loves it because they're selling so many jackets. They sold out all their summer jackets this summer because of moi, and everybody wearing these jackets. They say, if you look that good, Earl, I'm buying one of those jackets. Joining me in our wonderful studio here at Lansky's is John Doyle, a friend for many, many years. Mm-hmm. He's also the executive director of the Rock and Soul Museum, which is auspices over the Memphis Music Hall of Fame, which is coming up here Thursday, September 25th at 7 p.m. at the Cannon Center. Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Rock and Soul Museum, which is a real treasure in Memphis. And so many Memphians don't know anything about it. And it's because it's downtown, mm-hmm. it's a tourist thing. Mm-hmm. And what people don't understand is if it's a tourist thing, that must mean it's kind of cool. You ought to go check it out. And you're in the old Lansky building, which was previously the Hard Rock Cafe. Then it became the Elvis Presley Club. Mm-hmm. And then it went back to being, did it go back to being the Hard Rock?
It was Elvis Presley's, and then it became Hard Rock when Hard Rock moved up Beale Street.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
And then after Elvis Presley's didn't make it, or the Hard Rock, whichever was the last one there, that's when you moved the Rock and Soul from FedEx Forum.
We haven't moved it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a lease with the Memphis Grizzlies at FedEx Forum until 2029.
Okay.
They've been incredible to us for Rock and Soul. We have been there lease-free for 21 years now. I know. To have landlords that will allow a Smithsonian-developed exhibit to be there for free for 20-something years. Unfortunately, our lease runs out in 2029. And, we got notification. Hal Lansky came in the door one day and said, I've got bad news. Hard Rock Cafe is leaving Memphis. And we have our Memphis Music Hall of Fame museum that is there. Mm-hmm. That's a follow-up to the induction ceremony. And he said, I said, well, how will someone else come in and be our landlord for the Memphis Music Hall of Fame? And he said, no, we'll probably sell the building. Now, this is, short of Graceland and Sun Studios, this is the most historic music building in the entire city. Featured in the Elvis movies, it's where Bernard sold clothes forever to every famous person ever from Elvis on. And so I've got a very aggressive board of directors, and they said, let's buy the building. Let's put both museums together. Let's do a place for musicians, for students, grow our programming, and so now we're raising the money to renovate the building.
That is fabulous. I'm really glad to hear that, and I'm sure Hal's glad to hear it too.
Well, and not only glad to hear it, as soon as we closed on it, he turned around and wrote us a check for $250,000, and so he said, I want to do this because I would like for Lansky's and for my dad to be, represented there. And I'm like, Hal, that's why we want the building. I would be stupid not to feature Lansky's and Bernard Lansky in that building.
Well, I had the pleasure of getting to spend a lot of time with Bernard and Hal when I did a video biography for them, and which I'm going to try to get that updated, better format than VHS. That's so many years ago we did that, and we will give that to y'all because, I'm sure Hal would love to have that on display there.
We would too.
talking about what's going on now with the 2025 Music Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And the special guest, John Mellencamp, who dropped the Cougar a long time ago.
Not bad.
And Martina McBride.
Not bad.
And Eric Gales. Those are the presenters.
Yeah.
But the inductees, Art Gilliam.
Yeah.
Cordell Jackson. Robert Johnson, the story goes, sold his soul to the devil at the crossroads.
Absolutely.
For a successful career.
Probably the greatest blues musician of all time.
Yep. And you can just tell, looking at that picture, that does look like the 30s or 40s, you know?
Absolutely.
And then Denise LaSalle, Johnny Taylor, because we knew all his great hits, and then our own Wendy Moten, who had her hits and was on the Voice and did great there. Then she fell off a stage.
Yeah, tripped over an amplifier.
Yeah. And but I think that the Memphis Music Hall of Fame, and by the way, it's going to be at the Cannon Center. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com. It is the most attended show that's out there. I mean, we were there last year. We've been there the last few years. And the music is incredible. Yeah. And these people are so glad to be there. And do they get to pick their presenter? How does that work?
It's part of the fun part of my job. As soon as I know the inductees from the nominating committee, I do my research. Others that work with me do research and find out, and we start sending out emails to agents and managers across the country. It was weird when the board of directors said we should. It was actually Kevin Kane at Memphis Tourism said we should start the Memphis Music Hall of Fame. And I'm like, wait a minute, what is it? And one board member said, maybe it's just plaques on the wall. And I said, no, if you're representing the greatest musicians of all time, we can't just have plaques on the wall. No. We've got to do it first class. And as a nonprofit, that's what we do. So to elevate it, because Earle, you're right, and it's no disrespect to Memphians. Memphians don't necessarily, I mean, you know, people in St. Louis aren't going up in the arch. Tourists are going up in the arch. And so we're used to that Memphians get a little blasé about Memphis music. I can go into my deep story about being the 29th largest city in the United States, yet every country on the planet knows Memphis, Tennessee, and really wish that Memphians would not look at this as that's not my favorite musician that's being inducted this year or my favorite presenter, but the same reason we go to a museum or we go to an art gallery is to be exposed to things, to be broadened as a person, to learn more, and do that. I remember City Councilman Chase Carlisle was there one year, and he was there to see a particular inductee, but Marguerite Piazza was being inducted. And he said, I've never been an opera fan, but I was blown away. And so I was totally changed through that ceremony because unlike Nashville or any other city, Memphis, the genres of music, I mean, you look at this year, how many different genres of music we hit. But yeah, from the start, and if folks will go to memphismusichofoffame.com, one of the world's longest email URL addresses, but we currently have 106 tribute pages to the folks we've inducted so far. It'll blow you away. And just pick 3 of them and look at them and learn something about some Memphians that you didn't know that completely changed the planet.
It's such an intimate setting.
Yes.
It's not a huge hall.
Right.
And all of their dearest friends come to this.
That's right.
Because they want to be there for their friends.
Yes.
So you're seeing people at a very personal moment in their lives.
That's right. Being
honored for their life's work. And it's you're really privy to history being made at that moment.
And many of them are obviously Grammy Award winners. And so they have, and then they come and they say, well, Timberlake said in 2015, this is the greatest tribute I've ever received. I thought, surely that's not the truth. But literally backstage, he said, I'm just so honored. When you get honored by your hometown.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. When we started it, I thought, what the heck, I'll give it a try. And so I started inviting some of these A-list musicians. And it became easier to get them to come to the induction ceremony than sometimes it is to get Memphians to come to the induction ceremony because they get it.
They recognize.
Their whole careers were molded because of these musicians that came from Memphis. So we reached out to Keith Richards. Keith Richards came. Snoop Dogg came. Peter Frampton came. Neil Young came. Robert Plant came. This year, John Mellencamp's going to be there.
Well, and it is that big a deal. I was listening to an interview with Elton John talking about how big a deal Elvis was.
Yeah.
To all of us. And none of us would be here today if it hadn't been for Elvis. And yet people in Memphis, they're just so blasé about the fact that Elvis is here. This is the first year Kathy and I took her to the candlelight service, and we drove around behind the mansion because I'd covered it for so many years and knew everybody out there. I said, can we get in the back so I could take some pictures and get some stuff of people singing? And Elvis, they had his voice blasting out over the Graceland grounds.
Yeah.
Welcome to my world. And it's just a very, very moving experience. And so many Memphis go, I don't go anywhere near that. Well, you should.
You should.
You should. And you should attend this event coming up.
I appreciate it.
It is, we're very, very fortunate. And we're fortunate to have somebody like you running it because you appreciate it. And it's not just a job to you.
No.
And it's you really understand the importance of it.
Earle, when you have zero musical talent and you have an opportunity to see these people, meet these people, find out these people are real, regular people, for them to come out on stage and tell stories about their lives and how their careers were changed, and for these inductees to get up and just say things. It does just sound sappy, but it just warms your heart as a Memphian to know that this city, not any other city, not Philadelphia, not Boston, no other city, this city. And, we know today that Nashville, if they could, they'd write the check to have Graceland picked up and moved to Nashville.
In a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat. But this is, the second most visited residence in the country.
Including the White House.
Absolutely. And it just goes on and on. And of the place we're sitting right now, the people who have come to the Memphis Music Hall of Fame, they've come to this store before and bought clothes. Yep. It is a weird thing as a Memphian, and we take it for granted. But, these folks who play at FedEx Forum and then they gig on Beale Street and stuff like this. Folks, be proud of a city that you're in. Get off of social media talking about what might be going on and promote the city, promote these legends that came out of our
downtown.
City. That's
exactly
right.
I said, we're going to come downtown, and I came to Hal, said, we'd like to do a live video podcast from your story. He said, no politics? I said, absolutely no politics. We're just going to talk about the great things about Memphis and its people.
Yeah.
One of the things about the Memphis Music Hall of Fame, too, is it's not, you mentioned you don't play an instrument or sing or anything else. There's some of the people that are inducted into the Hall of Fame are not musicians either, but they've made huge contributions to the music scene here in Memphis. Kevin Kane was honored last year. Right. Jack Soden was honored last year. Yeah. And both of them have made huge contributions and dearly love the city.
Yeah, and more of that will happen as, when you're Memphis, this is probably one of the better parts of my job, although it's ugly sometimes. Every year, this time of year, I get emails, things on Facebook with people saying, how stupid are y'all that you've never paid tribute to Jimmy Griffin or you've never paid tribute to Joe Walsh? Listen, name 80 people that aren't in there yet. And if I had, when I was 17 years old, if I had started it 40 years ago, we would be further than we are now. But be patient and celebrate these folks now because, there are so many that we have not honored. And, Memphis music is molded by folks other than just musicians. And the other thing is I catch grief about people that get inducted. Why is Kevin Kane inducted? I caught so much grief. Why is Priscilla Presley inducted? She's not a musician. She produced 2 albums in the UK that made Elvis the #1 recording artist in the UK.
She was the only wife that Elvis Presley ever had.
Yeah, she saved Graceland that was going to be sold.
Absolutely.
And if you think of Memphis, Tennessee, it would be like St. Jude or FedEx picking up and moving out of our city if that little house on Elvis Presley Boulevard was now a Denny's or something like that. She saved that for us. And so, she deserves to be in there. I'll go to bat for all 106 and after this Thursday, 112 that are in there. They all deserve, and there are easily 80, 200 more that deserve to go in.
Well, the tickets at Ticketmaster, it's going to be at the Cannon Center September 25th, 7 p.m. Make plans to go.
Yeah.
You won't regret it. You'll be very glad you did.
And can I do one thing for you just because you're special? If you go to Ticketmaster, up in the top right corner, there's a place where you can unlock a discount code. And if you will type in Music Fan 1, these are just $30 tickets. This isn't buying tickets to a Paul McCartney concert. And so they're already just $30, but if you go in that top corner and unlock a discount code, type in Music Fan 1, it'll knock $10 off. So $20, you're not going to go to the Paradiso for $20.
You can't go to McDonald's for $20.
Sir. No, sir. And you're going to get to see Martina McBride, John Mellencamp, and if I was allowed to say, which I'm not allowed to say, but I guess I could say, I would suspect that maybe he'll perform, although I'm not allowed to say.
Yeah.
And
we've always been rule breakers.
I know.
John.
I think I did that fairly, but yeah, there are. I can't say whether he's going to perform or not, but I can say we're setting up some microphones, and so it'll be an incredible show. Eric Gales, if you've ever seen Eric Gales play the guitar. He's left-handed, so he plays the guitar upside down. He plays it behind his head. Jeez. I mean, just one of these alone is worth $20.
Yeah, I agree. John Doyle, thank you very much for coming by, and we'll see you on the 25th.
Thanks for all you do, Earl.
You bet. Mm-hmm. Up next, we got another festival we're going to tell you about, and here's a little sample of one of the groups that's going to be performing there. All right. And they're going to be performing at Aquasteli? Aquasteli. Beth just told me that, and that blew it. So, but I don't speak whatever language that is. Cherokee?
It's Cherokee, yes, sir.
And it means what?
Hour.
Hour. O-U-R?
O-U-R. So when we started this whole bluegrass deal, it was based over like our community, our bluegrass festival.
By the way, we're talking with Ben Wolfe, who you're the executive director of the festival?
I am the executive director of a new nonprofit I started called Hearts for the Park.
Okay.
Yes.
And I know the years of the past when you've come on my shows, it was at Shelby Forest
and it still
State
is.
Park, but it says Millington. So is it because it's technically in Millington?
No, sir. So what happened was for the last really 9 years, COVID kind of put us out, and so it's our 8th year. But I grew up in Shelby Forest, worked there as a kid. My granddad was a game warden, so I played music my entire life, and then I quit playing live. I wanted to do something else, still in music. So I got a promotions company going, and what better way to kind of give back? I was trying to give back funding to Meeman Shelby Forest State Park. So through that process, that UA Moore ballpark opened up. The county, I believe, gave it back to the state, and I went and met with them one day, asked them what they were going to do with it, and they said they were going to bush hog it. And I said, well, I got an idea. And they said, well, we ain't helping you. And I said, I totally understand. They knew me well. So, but we still are there, but we're going into Millington this year because the new superintendent of Millington and the mayor, they are trying to do things in Millington and bring more music events to the city, which when that started, I had just started Hearts for the Park last summer. And they mentioned about the Lone Sailor statue. So we said, what better way to come here? And they had just obtained Edmund Orgel Park in Millington. So we said, let's go for it and see what happens.
Is that right next to the golf course?
It's right next to the golf course. There's the disc golf's on one side and the dam's on one side, and we're right there by the boat ramp this year.
And all the balls I've lost over the years are all over the place, right?
They're all over the place. Although I believe there's a company coming out there in Mar on the day of the festival, and he told me the other day, I didn't know it, they have a boat that cleans up the lake. So you might get your balls back.
Well, I doubt it. I live on a golf course. I don't give anybody their balls back.
I don't blame you. I understand.
I've got a picture here of the stage. This was out at Shelby Meeman State Park. And the other thing, too, is people, that's another Memphis treasure, is that state. It's one of the first places I went when I moved to Memphis. And I've been going out there. I took my parents there when they came to visit.
Yep.
It is one of the most beautiful parks anywhere in this part of the state.
Yes.
And people, I mean, I still go camping out there with my son.
Well, and I don't know if you know this, but they're revitalizing that whole campground. It would be just a month or two. Supposedly in September, they're supposed to open it back up. I was out there the other day. They got new slips, new bathroom facility. When I worked out there as a kid, I literally used to tell people they could actually blindfold me in California, put me, and I'd go, I'm in the bathroom at the campground of Dogwood. So, but it's becoming, they're putting more money into it, and it's really looking nice, and they're doing a great job out there.
They used to have cabins out there around the lake.
Remodeled all the cabins.
Good.
They actually have.
In fact, a good friend of mine is one of the park rangers out there now, and so things are happening there. But this is going to be at Orgel Park, and how much are the tickets, and how do they get them?
Well, you can get them at the gate, or you can go to 901tix. That's 901tix.com, and buy your tickets there. They're $8 for adults, and they're 8 and unders free. And then if you're military, active or retired, they're $5.
And remember, it starts at what?
At noon.
At noon, it goes to like 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
So it's for old dudes like me, it's perfect.
Yes.
Nights over at 8 o'clock.
It's funny you say that, too, because as we kind of rebrand this thing a little bit, it's called the Aquasteli Music Festival now, but about 80 to 90% of bluegrass. But we noticed and listened to the people, and a lot of the people wanted to see what you guys were just talking about, these Memphis folk and Americana players. It's incredible. So this year we've got a host of them coming. We got 2 stages, and so we're kind of proud to bring in a little bit different, more of a genre, but bluegrass is where we're rooted in.
Which we're going to hear from another group that we've seen at the Yards. Laughlin Yards.
Oh, Grass Fire.
Grass Fire, yeah.
Oh, Brad Robb.
Yeah, they're great.
They're great.
And they're fun guys, and it's just a little sample of those kids that we just showed. Those are kids. They're out there playing a stand-up bass and fiddle.
They've already won a big award through the Bluegrass Association, Stigma, and they're with some of the bigger stars in the bluegrass world.
I really think bluegrass is making a huge comeback, and it's interesting how many young people really like it.
Yep.
Because this is old music.
It's funny you say that too, because literally I can go to people. I'm old. I mean, I'm 62. I'll just be honest with you.
You're not old.
but going back to some of these, and I call them kids, 18 to 25, and I'll say something. They go, "Man, we hate bluegrass." Let's see, come to the Bluegrass Festival. We hate bluegrass. And I say, "You like Billy Strange?" We love him. And I'm like, he's rooted in bluegrass. So you're right. It's coming back, and it's kind of like bell bottoms and hip huggers. They just kind of come back around.
And all it takes is to go sit and listen to it for a little bit and watch these people play it.
Yep.
And you think, this is really good music. And
really
good music is good music.
Good music, and they're very talented people. You don't mess up playing the banjo, the mandolin, or the flat top.
Well, it's going to be great. And tell them the date of again. It's
October 4th.
October 4th.
And we're trying to raise dollars one ticket at a time for that Lone
Sailor statue,
which is very special to the city of Millington. I didn't even know there's only 19 in the world.
Wow.
And this will be the 20th one.
Well, Millington is such a big part of our community, has been ever since I moved here with all the people. In fact, a lot of people don't know this, but every sailor in the world, their orders come out of Millington.
And see, you're knowledgeable. That's just like Memphis a minute ago about the music in Memphis. People just don't know, and you're exactly right.
So, not a ship moves, not a sailor picks up his bag and throws it over his shoulder until they get their orders from Millington.
That's exactly right.
So if you want to make things happen, you go to Millington.
100%. We're trying.
Ben Wolfe, thank you very much for stopping by. And we're going to listen to another bluegrass band we were just talking about on our way out. And
that'd be great. And if I could just mention, if people would go to heartsforthepark.org, you can get all the information there about not only about Meeman Shelby Forest State Park, which we're really rooted in, but it's got the events there, and you can go to the Aquasteli Music Festival coming up and get all the information there too.
Aquasteli.
But you got it.
Yeah.
Look at you.
It sounds Italian. That's why I can do it.
It kind of does.
I took my index from Cherokee to Italian. I can do it. Aquasteli.
Great job.
All right. Ben Wolfe, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for having me on.
And here's some bluegrass on our way out. And then Dave Darnell, a great Memphis photographer with the Commercial Appeal, is joining us next. Stay tuned.
All right, it's time to burn a bluegrass tune. Here's one called Slewfoot. Go, Mike. tracks, looking back at me. Well, you better get your rifle, son, before it's too late. The bear's got a little pig and he's headed to the gate. He's big around the middle and he's brought across the road. Running 90 miles an hour, taking 30 feet a jump. Ain't never been caught, he ain't never been treed. Some folks say he looks a lot like me. Go, Lynn. And I started making honey way up in the tree. Well, I cut down the tree, but my honey's all gone. Old Slewfoot done made himself a home. He's been around the middle and he's brought across the road. Running 90 miles an hour, taking 30 feet a jump. Ain't never been caught, he ain't never been treed. Some folks say he looks a lot like me. Tear it up, Mike! Froze over, so where can he go? We'll chase him up the gully and we'll run him in the well, and we'll shoot him in the bottom just to listen to him yell. He's been around the middle and he's brought across the road, running 90 miles an hour, taking 30 feet a jump. Ain't never been caught, he ain't never been treed. Some folks say he looks a lot like Steve. Ain't never been caught, he ain't never been treed. Some folks say he looks a lot like me. Some folks say he looks a lot like me.
Hi, I'm Dawn Grader, President and CEO of Southern Security Federal Credit Union. We're the proud title sponsor of the Earle Farrell for Memphis show. Coming to you live from Lansky's in the world-famous Peabody Hotel and celebrating all of the great things about our great city, Memphis, Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm so proud to be part of the Earle Farrell for Memphis show, streaming live from Lansky's from the Peabody. We will be showcasing not only Napa Cafe, but some great restaurants around town. We look forward to seeing you.
Hello, Memphis Mid-South. And first, I'd like to thank you for visiting with Earle Farrell Memphis today, and we want to support him just like you do. I'm George Gully, one of the sales managers at Jim Carey Chevrolet. We've been in business here in Memphis for over 75 years. I've been associated with the company for almost 25, and I'll help you find the right car, truck, or SUV here at not only our Chevy store, but also Buick, GMC, Nissan, Subaru. We can help you find that right car. Keep watching, Earl, and come see me. Thanks so much.
Hi, I'm Kathy Thurman Edwards, State Farm, and I'm so excited to be one of the sponsors for the Earle Farrell from Memphis show, broadcasting live from Lansky's at the Peabody. And I'll tell you all about what we've got going on at our office. Gift cards for quotes. No purchase necessary. I'm better looking than a lizard.
Hi, this is Randy Wright from the Dive Shop and Dive Ventures in Memphis. We've been in Memphis over 64 years teaching people to dive, snorkel, and swim. We'd love to have you come join us and have some fun. We're also a part of the Dive Ventures group with 18 locations across the country, stretched from Phoenix to Vienna, Virginia. Please give us a call. We'll be able to take care of you at 999 South Yates in Memphis, or call us at 901-763-DIVE.
Hi, I'm Brett Batterson, President and CEO of the Orpheum Theater Group in downtown Memphis. We are so pleased with our partnership with the Earle Farrell Show and very happy that he is broadcasting live from Lansky's at the historic Peabody Hotel. We're all here to make Memphis better.
Hi, my name is Jameson Totten, and I'm the director of Live at the Garden and the Radiance Amphitheater. And we're so excited for our 25th year of Live at the Garden here at the Memphis Botanic Garden. We've got a great lineup for you this season, so come on out.
Hi, I'm Olivia Wall, Director of Marketing and Communications for Memphis Botanic Garden and Live at the Garden. We've had Earle Farrell right along the way for the past 25 years, and we can't wait to talk more about the season this summer at the Earle Farrell for Memphis show.
So come out to Live at the Garden. Our first show's on June 21st.
Hi, I'm Mitch Wright.
And I'm his son, Mickey.
And we're the owners of Mitch Wright Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
And proud sponsors of the Earle Farrell for Memphis show.
We're thankful to be part of the Memphis community. We've been in business for 42 years, taking care of people and loving the people of the Mid-South.
Hey, my name is Jake. I'm with Phoenix Unequaled Home Entertainment. I just wanted to introduce myself and kind of what I do here at Phoenix. I'm a sales engineer. A lot of the times we talk about home theaters, but there's so much more that we offer. We offer a lot of home security solutions, as well as water detection and everything. So if you guys ever need anything, give us a call. We'll get you guys fixed up.
And welcome back. Joining me now is somebody I worked with, not directly. We worked for different news gathering organizations many years ago. He was at the Commercial Appeal. I was at Channel 3, then Channel 5, then Fox 13. Dave Darnell, and he ended up retiring a few years ago, and his wife moved down to Florida, which is where he resides now. And I said, I'd love to have you on the show. He said, well, I'm coming to Memphis on the 22nd. I said, I'll make a room for you, because I always admired your work. You incredibly talented photographer. And I think it's people that are in this business, I don't think they realize that when they're doing all this, because you're out covering news. You're not really thinking about it. You're there for every piece of history that takes place during your career. And you were everywhere. Everywhere I went, evidently it was the big story of the day, because there was Dave. And
you're very kind.
But you, and we spent so much time together.
Yeah,
we were
really
on the scenes of all kinds of different things. And you could be there for 2 hours, 1 hour, 8 hours.
Rain, sleet, cold, hot.
Yeah. And they just would call us and say, stay there. I'm going, you don't know what it's like there.
Yeah.
But in so many, we spent more time together, all the different stations, people covering that, than we did with our own people at our own stations.
Oh, yeah.
And so you get to know somebody during all that time. I never saw you in a bad mood, never saw you complaining about anything. You just did your job like the rest of us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I did want to show some of your work and just kind of talk about what an incredible life and career that you had just covering the events of the day.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting the way I got started. I wanted to be a sports writer. And when I was a freshman at Ole Miss, I wrote a letter to the Commercial Appeal applying for a job in the summer in the sports department, and mentioned in my letter not that I was a photographer, but that I was taking a course in photography. And they wrote me back and said, well, we don't need anybody in sports, but we need a photographer for the summer. And I wish I had a copy of the letter I wrote back. I said, well, my dad told me I needed a job this summer, so I'll try it. And you know, fortunately, I had worked with Barney Sellers and Bob Williams and Fred Griffith and Jim Sharon and Sam Melhorn and Charles Nicholas, and I mean, just great photographers. And Barney Sellers was far and above the best I ever worked with. Taught me more about photography than anybody, and it was just a pleasure to work with those people.
Barney, coincidentally, his namesake Barnes, he loved old barns.
Oh yeah,
and he went around all over the country taking photographs of them. And he was a great, I used to love to sit and listen to him talk.
Oh, yeah.
Fred Griffin.
Great storyteller.
And Fred Griffin, another great photographer.
Yeah.
Grizzly old guy.
Yeah.
Had a great sense of humor.
Yeah. Well, you know, there were just some great photographers at the paper. And like I said, when I went there the first summer, I didn't know anything. And I was fortunate enough to work with those guys, and they taught me everything I knew. And it was, you know, they were very patient with me, and they could have said, you know, get out of my way, boy, and leave me alone, but they didn't.
I think most people that are really worth who they are, they enjoy teaching somebody that wants to learn.
Yeah.
And that it's part of, somebody taught them.
Oh, sure.
And I think they appreciated that. That's what so many people helped me in my career, and I would tell young people as they came along, and I'd teach them stuff, and they'd say, "Thank you very much." I said, "You can thank me by being this way to some other young person."
Yeah, exactly.
Now, unfortunately, it has changed so much over the years. I hate driving by the Commercial Appeal building where the press scimitar and the Commercial Appeal.
Yeah.
Now it's a overflow thing for COVID patients.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. And when I first started there in the summer of '65, gosh, that was 60 years ago.
Yeah.
We were in the old Ford Motor Plant building. They made Model Ts in that building, and the photo lab was right where the car wash was in the building.
Makes sense.
And so it was just
when you took the film to wash, you really took it to wash.
Oh yeah. We developed our own film and printed our own pictures and all that. And I remember when we went to digital years and years later, someone said, "Oh boy, I bet you hate digital. That just takes the fun away." I said, No. I said that lets you see what you've got right away.
Right then.
And you go out and shoot pictures at some event or a football game or something like that, and you shoot 5 or 6 rolls of film, and you say, "Gee, I hope I got something." And you didn't know till you got back to develop the film.
Well, the same thing in broadcast TV. We were shooting 16 millimeter film.
Yeah.
And not only did you have to go back and process it, and it took us a lot longer to run it through the big tank.
Yeah.
Because you had to go to the same chemicals, except it was hundreds of feet of film.
Yeah.
And then you had to get it and splice it all together, and then you hoped it stayed together while it went through the film chain.
Yeah.
Then when digital and videotape came into being, and it was just the same. Instantly, you knew if you had it.
Yeah.
And so I never complained about going back to film.
Yes, it's interesting watching photographers now. They'll take a picture and then they'll
look at it.
Look at it and see what they got. It's wonderful.
Looking at it today in the news conference, there were some photographers standing behind other photographers, and just like the cameras right now that are shooting you and me and all that's going on here, you got an LED screen that's flipped out, and you're seeing exactly what is in the picture. There's our 2 cameras. And there's 3 of them here. Let's look at some of your photographs, because I think just you tell us about them. First up is you.
That's some young guy. I don't know who that is.
He was a striking young man, and a great photo of you.
Well, Jim Weber took that picture. That's he took a picture of me, and Barney Sellers had taken a picture of me, and gosh, in 1966, we did a comparison picture. I've got them somewhere here of 1966 and 1996, and that was, or maybe it was 2006. I don't know. Toward the end of my career, but a very similar picture, but with different equipment, different look. And back when I first started working there, we wore coats and ties every day.
Yeah.
And later, people show up in blue jeans and T-shirts, and I just didn't feel like walking into the mayor's office with a T-shirt on. That just didn't seem right to me.
So much has changed over the years.
Yeah,
some of it's good, but not all of it.
Yeah, that's true.
This next picture is one I did not know you took it. I've admired it ever since you took it. I just didn't know that you took it. And it's one of Elvis. And there's so much about this picture that I just absolutely love. Number one, he's looking directly at you. Number two, he lifted up his glasses. Number three, you have the reflection of his face on the hood of his car. And I was talking to Rob, my producer, and I said, I wonder if he knew he had the reflection on the roof of the car when he took the picture.
Yeah, I knew it. And it's really funny how that picture came about. That was when he was named as one of the JC's Outstanding Young Men in America. And I'd been down covering the luncheon all day, and the Memphis Mafia, as his bodyguards were called, kept pushing me aside and didn't want me taking his picture. And so finally when he left, he was outside and he was signing autographs. And I was standing next to this, what I called a little old lady with a pocket instamatic at the time. She was probably 10 years older than I was, but she was an old person because I was in my early 20s. And so she said, Elvis, turn around. And he turned around and looked right at my camera. And she said, well, Elvis, take your glasses off. And bingo, there it was. And it's the only picture I really remember thinking this, so when I took it, I said, gosh, if his eyes are open, that might be pretty good.
Well, it is.
It was about 90% luck, but it was.
But isn't that the way it is? I mean, everybody's taking the same place, same angle mostly.
Yeah.
And then you come up with one like this. Have people commented to you over the years what an incredible photograph that is?
I've had a lot of compliments on that photograph.
This next one is one of the, this is one that hits real close to home here. Bernard Lansky.
Yeah.
Who he and his brother founded Lansky's, as Lansky Brothers on Beale Street. And you said this was taken on Beale Street.
That was taken on Beale, yeah. That was in the late, maybe the early 70s. I don't remember. It was pretty old, but that was on Beale Street.
He was such a salesman, and Hal, chip off the old block.
Yeah, nice guys, nice guys.
It is what I love about that is his smile.
Yeah.
It was the most endearing smile. What were the circumstances of you taking his picture?
Well, we were just doing a story about him and about being the clothier to the king.
Right.
And so we just needed to get a nice portrait of him, and he was very, very cooperative. And
did he sell you a shirt or a jacket?
Yeah, he did.
Because I was going to say, usually nobody makes it out of Lansky's without buying something.
Yeah.
This is Jerry Lee, you said, on his 50th birthday.
Yeah, that was down at the Vapors Club on Brooks. And he was, Jerry Lee was quite a guy, I tell you what. I photographed him all through the years, but that was on his 50th birthday.
You know, you were talking about the Memphis Mafia not wanting you to take pictures of Elvis. But the thing is that they're in the entertainment business. I can't believe they wanted to stiff arm you for taking this picture.
Yeah. Well, they wanted control of it. They didn't mind so much you taking pictures, I don't guess, but they wanted control of it.
And they didn't want you getting too close or because Elvis loved signing autographs for his fans.
Oh yeah.
And I saw him in pictures because he died 6 months before I got here, and I've talked to so many people that knew him and said he wouldn't just sign an autograph. He actually said something personal to them about, I met you in front of Graceland, and it was so nice to meet you, and which nobody does that.
Yeah,
and he did, and he was glad to do it, which I think is incredible.
Yeah. He, talking about his funeral, I covered his funeral from a helicopter.
Wow.
And we didn't think about getting a helicopter ourselves. I wound up flying with a traffic helicopter.
Wow.
And they had to get back to do the traffic thing. Plus, we ran out of gas and had to get the thing on the ground.
Well, that is a motivator.
Yeah. So I missed the picture that we really wanted of him, taking the casket out of the hearse and taking it to the mausoleum.
But the picture that whoever took it, how many hearse limousines?
Yeah.
They said that every limousine from Atlanta, St. Louis, New Orleans was rented for that funeral.
Yeah.
And that long shot of coming down Elvis Presley Boulevard, which back then it was Bellevue. This picture is one of the last pictures taken of Elvis, isn't it?
No. This was taken not too long after the sunglasses picture. Interesting story behind this. I had been out covering a golf tournament, and I was coming back to the newspaper, and this motorcycle passed me, and I said, boy, that's a good-looking girl in the back of that motorcycle. Of course, I was 24 years old. And
you
single,
didn't notice Elvis.
And I didn't know it was Elvis. I pulled up beside the motorcycle to look at the girl, and Elvis looked at me. So I followed him and got off where they did. And I found out later, not very long after that the girl was killed in a car wreck. And it's been probably 8 or 10 years later that I walked in the lab one day, and the phone's ringing, and this voice says, I'd like to speak to Dave Darnell. And I said, this is he. And she said, well, my name is, I can't remember what her name was because she had remarried, but she said, I'm the mother of the unidentified female. And that's the way we referred to her. And so we talked a long time, and she told me the whole story behind it. And I had heard it piece by piece, but I've always liked that picture because Elvis is looking at me like, don't take my picture. And because I think at the time he was probably still married and separated from Priscilla, and the girl is looking away. I don't think she was trying to hide from me because they have another picture where she's looking forward.
Well, there's a young man in the car next to them that's looking directly at her.
Yeah.
So I think they may have had an exchange going on.
I think they did, and that kind of makes the picture to me too.
But the other thing about this photograph that I love is, a couple of things. The fact that you can't see her face, there's the mystery.
Yeah.
And everybody, like, who is that woman? And for years, you didn't know.
Exactly.
The other thing, you captured the buildings and the signage behind you.
Oh,
and that's a frozen moment in time.
That was luck.
Yeah, but
I was concentrating on Elvis.
and you can see his lizard cowboy boots.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have foot pegs, which is another thing I noticed. All she can do is dangle her legs or put them on the tailpipe, which I don't advise doing.
And neither one of them had a helmet on.
No, he never wanted to wear a helmet.
No.
Which is why they ended up getting the trike for him that the boys at Supercycle, Ron and Lou Elliott, built for him.
Yeah.
Because that way it's considered not a motorcycle that has 3 wheels.
Yeah.
And they say, and Elvis goes, this means I don't have to wear a helmet. He said, because they went through a court and everything because they wrote him a ticket for it and he didn't want to pay it. And so they got out of it. But he's also wearing the Jerry Seinfeld puffy sleeve shirt. Remember the episode of Seinfeld?
Yeah.
And it's got even a band around the arms to keep it from flapping in the breeze.
Yeah.
But great photograph.
Yeah.
This is you got all the presidents who ever came to Memphis.
Well, I missed one. I didn't get George W. Bush, but I got the other 7 that came to Memphis while I was working.
Well, this is, of course, Richard Nixon.
Yeah, of course, the first one.
And was that the Air Force One flew into Memphis?
Yeah. That was out of the Air National Guard.
And Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
And was that here in Memphis?
Yeah, that's right before he was president. He was here campaigning. And I got on the plane with him, and they had pretty free run there. They weren't so bad on candidates back then.
No.
And I had plenty of time with Jimmy
before he
Carter.
was shot along with a lot of other people.
Yeah.
That
changed. And the guy that shot him was in the press area, too.
Yeah.
So, and I asked a Secret Service agent that was a friend of mine about that, and I said, why do you always run security checks on the press, and then you stick us off in the corner somewhere? And he said, well, we know not to shoot y'all. And I said, oh, okay.
And all the time, you had to go through a background check with Secret Service.
Yeah.
And then once you arrived on scene, they would search you, they'd check all your equipment, then put you in a circle.
Yeah.
They said, do not get out of this circle.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't even be a place to sit down.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you wanted to go to the bathroom, they said, okay, but you're going to have to go back through security again.
Yeah.
But Ronald Reagan, I always loved him because he's always going, well. That was the only part of his voice I could do. But in later years, the way he got to answering questions, she'd sit there, well, I can't hear you, which was a great dodge, I thought.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, Carter was a nice guy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think he was that good a president. I think they kind of held him to a different standard, but Carter was a super nice guy. And we had, I remember he was in Memphis campaigning once, and A.B. Albritton, who was the political writer at the time for the paper, had got an interview with him after he'd spoken to this crowd at Rivermont, and we were up in his room, and there were 4 or 5 Secret Service agents around, and there Carter and A.B. and I was sitting there talking and taking pictures, and just in mid-sentence, Carter said, I don't think we need y'all. Y'all can leave. So it was just the 3 of us left.
So no Secret Service?
No Secret Service. They were all outside.
Wow.
And it was really, really special to be there like that.
Well, everything I heard about the guy was that he was very nice. I got to interview his son on the Mid-America Ball. We did a long walking interview with us backing up and the camera on him. Get through the whole thing. And back in those days, we had a sound man and a photographer. And I said, so are we good? And the sound guy goes, I'm sorry, man, I didn't get it. He's got a headset on. How do you not get a walking interview? But that was a disappointment. And this is George H. Bush.
Yeah, that's when he was vice president. I've shot him when he was president, but I liked this picture better. This was down at the Delta Council in Cleveland, Mississippi. He was speaking, and he was a nice guy. He was a down-to-earth guy. So was George W. I just never got to photograph him.
Yeah. Actually, George H. was not from Texas. His son, W., grew up in Midland, right next to where I grew up in West Texas. And I always loved it because he sounded just like the way everybody talks out there.
Yeah.
Strategy. Nobody can pronounce anything.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton, was this at the Pyramid at the rally?
It was at the Pyramid, yeah.
I helped organize that.
Really?
I was at Walker & Associates. And he was a big, handled all kind of campaigns for Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
So I was head of PR, helped set the whole thing up. Harold Ford Sr. didn't come to any of the planning meetings. What you got to do, even if you're a congressman, you have to get the little lapel button for the Secret Service. You're not in.
Yeah.
The day of the rally, and that was in 70. 78. I can't remember.
About then.
But it was after they had opened the pyramid, and it was still a venue. And they got up there, and so Harold shows up, and the Secret Service wouldn't let him in. He started going, racist. This is racist. I said, Harold, Congressman, you didn't come to the meetings. I'm going to get you in. You just got to give me a minute.
Yeah.
And he said, okay. And he said, so I finally got him in. He goes, remember, that was when he made the statement about the devils from East Memphis, white devils from East Memphis.
Yeah.
And he said, "What? There's a bunch of nothing but white people here. What if they start booing me?" I said, "Interesting. I'm going to tell you what you do." They said it's called white noise, no pun intended, but it's just noise. And if you keep saying thank you, people at home that are hearing this, either boos or cheers, they can't tell what it is.
Yeah.
If you're saying thank you, they think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So keep saying thank you, and he did. But the amazing thing about Clinton, after it was over, he came out, and the line of people that wanted to shake his hand went down the steps of the pyramid, all the way back to where the welcoming center is at the B.B. King statue. All the way out to that fence where it keeps the river from flooding.
Yeah.
And he went down that line and shook every person's hand and had a conversation with every. I'd never seen that before or since.
Yeah, he's quite a politician.
Well, but it's just he made everybody feel like he was really talking to him.
That's right. Exactly right.
But he was, and everybody said if you met him, you would think he's your friend.
That's right. Yeah.
Anything that struck you about covering him?
Just his demeanor, his friendliness, and he was, like you said, you thought he was talking just to you.
Yeah.
And
I think his voice too, because he. If there's going to be some girls there, I want to be there. But I think it's just people did feel like he was just an average guy.
Yeah.
Barack Obama, when he had dark hair, I saw him last night. He's completely white-headed.
Yeah. He was here, and I can't remember why he was here. He came here to speak for something in particular, and it's funny. Before I took this picture, he got off of Air Force One. He was walking over to talk to the crowd, and halfway to the crowd, he drops his cell phone. And I shot a series of 3 pictures of him picking the phone up.
Is it a BlackBerry?
Yeah.
That was his favorite phone.
And I was surprised that some Secret Service guy or some assistant didn't run over there and beat him to it,
Absolutely.
But as it turns out, he picked his own phone up. And we ran all 3 pictures of it. It was pretty good. Plus this one. So.
Now, this one, everybody can identify with. Where is this taken? But that's a barbecue sandwich.
Yep, that's Flora Payne at Payne's Barbecue.
Payne's Barbecue, wow.
And she made that sandwich just for me to take this picture.
No charge.
They usually had chopped sandwiches, and I asked for sliced so I could see the meat butter in the picture. But she's a great lady. I think they make wonderful, wonderful barbecue sandwiches.
They do. It's still one of the best barbecue places ever.
Yeah, I agree.
This is obviously at Memphis in May, and the Miss Piggy contestant.
Yeah. And this is an example of what I got to do for almost 50 years. I got to be front stage, went through the back door to everything, and was on stage with her. I was 6 feet away from her when I took this picture, and everybody couldn't do that. No. It was just a great thrill to be able to do what I did.
I've often told people it was better than being a millionaire or even a billionaire, because we got to go where nobody else could go.
Oh, yeah.
We got behind the scenes.
Yeah.
They took us, and you want to fly in a military jet, we'll get you in it.
Yeah, that's right.
You want to go out on a submarine, you go.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, I know people who had very prestigious jobs that were friends of mine growing up and all, and was in college and all, but I will guarantee you that not one single one of them had as much fun doing what they did as what I did.
I agree.
It was just a thrill all those years.
And I've had people say to me, are you glad you did what you did all these years? I said, absolutely.
For sure. Wouldn't change it.
You've got a couple of pictures on your iPad, and we're going to try to pull those up. And is there something I wanted you to show that we didn't get loaded in time?
Okay.
And just hold it over here toward Beth's camera.
Here's a picture that nobody knows who it is necessarily. That's Pat Summit when she was Pat Head at, where did she go to school? College. And
but she was the women's coach at
yeah,
UT.
and she was a very famous women's coach at UT.
Probably the best they ever had or ever will.
And that's a picture taken at the Coliseum of Bill Cook playing against Florida State.
Wow, look at that.
And that was just one of those things. You just happened to be there, and luckily you pushed the button at the right time. And,
but a sports setting, you have to actually shoot it faster than no time lasts because it blurs. You got to freeze those moments.
Yeah, and that's a picture that was at the tennis tournament one year of Henri Leconte, who passed out. And they're attending to him there, and I just happened to be at the opposite end of the court and got that picture of him. And then there's a young Martha Stewart.
Can you take your hand to expand that picture just a little bit?
Yeah.
Do that because I want you to get I was telling Dave when I saw that, was back in the 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And we met her at a John Tigert party downtown at their penthouse. And she'd come in and was there and met, and she went to the barbecue and everything. But that's the only time I ever met her. But you never knew who you were going to run into in Memphis. I mean, who would think Martha Stewart?
Yeah.
And so what a great photograph of her. She still looks good.
Yeah. And here's the thing I shot at the Coliseum. And I didn't even know who she was when I took it.
Dolly? You didn't know who Dolly was?
Yeah. I was out there shooting a picture of Janet Jackson once, and Bob Kelly, who did Mid-South concerts, and I was standing there talking, and he said, well, Dave, you've covered a lot of concerts out here. He said, do you remember the first concert you ever shot? And I didn't think about it. I said, yeah, it was the Beatles in 1966.
Wow.
And that was one of those years that I didn't know what I was doing at first, and we didn't use any of those pictures, but I have a few of those stashed away. And this is a picture that I took down on Crump. This gentleman and his daughter were standing out in front of Sister's Chicken and Biscuits. Well, Sister's Chicken and Biscuits didn't make it. So Dave Thomas named the restaurants, cooked hamburgers, and named them after his daughter, Wendy. So that's Dave and Wendy here in this picture.
Wow, that's his daughter.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is Wendy.
I had never seen that.
Yeah.
We were just talking the other day, though. None of those hamburger places taste the way they used to. Wendy's, I thought, was one of the best hamburgers that anybody ever did. They were hot and juicy.
Yeah. Not anymore.
Burger King, the Whopper, you could not buy a better hamburger than that.
Yeah.
And now none of them taste good.
Yeah.
I think they took the fat content and reduced it so much that it just doesn't taste like anything.
Yeah. And one thing I love shooting was fashions. This was the bridal issue picture. And it was funny, I went to New York and shot Fashion Week one year. And at the very last show, I was standing there and packing up my cameras and all and getting ready to leave, and this girl walks over to the end of the runway and hugs this beautiful blonde, and she said, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in ages and ages. And I'd had a long, hard week, and I said, what the heck, I'm going to try that too. And I got about as close to that gorgeous blonde as I am to you, and it dawned on me it was Christy Brinkley. And I just did a U-turn and got out of the way. So some bodyguard would have gotten me.
Yeah.
And but that was funny. And this is a picture I just happened on one day. I was going shopping out at Raleigh Springs Mall, and I drove by and saw this guy mowing his yard in the rain. And I said, I was with somebody else. I said, we got to go back. I got to get a camera. And we got back and got a camera and took this picture. And I asked that guy, I said, are you really doing this? He said, oh, yeah. He said, my wife told me I was going to mow this grass come,
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, okay, you did it. And that's a picture of a young man who became superintendent of city schools, Willie Harrington. And that was taken right after he became superintendent.
That's when I met him first, was when he was superintendent.
And this building, this apartment complex he's standing in front of is where he grew up. And so I went back to take him back to where his roots were. And just as I'm getting ready to take the picture, this kid walks out and looks down at us. And to me, that made the picture.
He's up on the second floor.
Yeah, in the background.
And it was over on Lamar.
Yeah.
Where the tenant was. And Willie used to hang out on Beale Street, was a Golden Glove boxer.
Yeah.
And I remember years later where he had a big deal at the Peabody right here.
Yeah.
where he fought. Wasn't Mike Tyson? Was it Mike Tyson?
I think it was.
I think it was, and we thought, "Come on, Mike, hit him!"
Yeah,
they got out there and kind of sparred around.
Yeah.
We were all disappointed. What I saw that you sent to me too. What is that?
That is David Porter walking out the back door for falling down Stax Records.
Wow.
And he told me a great story. This is before they started remodeling it and made it into the Stax Music Academy Museum. Mm-hmm. And he said that he and Isaac Hayes were down there one night working late with Otis Redding, and they were sitting at the piano working on some stuff. And Ike said, and David told me this. Ike said, "Come on, man, David, it's late. I got to get home." And I looked up and said, "Hold on, I'm coming." And we wrote the biggest hit we ever had.
Yeah.
And so I saw Isaac Hayes a week or so later. I said, "Ike, David told this great story about Hold On, I'm Coming." He said, "Yeah, but he didn't tell it right." And I said, "Well, what was wrong with it?" He said, "Well, he wasn't sitting at the piano. He was in the men's room when he said it."
He tried to dress it up a little bit.
So, but that was...
David Porter's one of the first people I met when I moved to Memphis.
Yeah, and... that's a young kitty cat I got in the cage. That was one of the first Memphis State Tigers.
We've had some great ones.
Yeah. And that's one of the little news pictures I stumbled on one day. There's a car full of painters going to a job, and they had
a wreck.
About a dozen cans of paint in the car, and they had a wreck. And the cans exploded. The tops came off, and they all got doused in paint.
I actually saw that and covered a thing on 385, a paint truck, painters, and same thing happened. There was paint all over them. The truck rolled over to the side. It was all over the highway, and I went, well, there's a downside about being a house painter.
Yeah. And this is a picture I took of James Meredith when he started his march through Mississippi.
Wow.
And he was shot 2 or 3 days later. And I had covered the first 2 days of the march, but it was my day off, and we didn't cover it, and he got shot.
Wow.
And there's a guy from Associated Press in New Orleans got a Pulitzer Prize-winning picture of that. And
well, that same thing happened to Bernie Mintz. Remember Bernie, photographer for Channel 5? He had just left the Lorraine Motel and headed back to the station when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated.
Yeah. And here's a little picture I took of a guy I kind of grew up with, Archie Manning, at his mother's home in Drew, and the little boy with him is Peyton.
Wow, that is incredible.
So,
and we were just looking at them this weekend.
Yeah, and but it was, it was just here's a picture of Evel Knievel who.
Wow.
Was getting ready to try to jump the Snake River.
And this is me.
A jet motorcycle.
I remember that.
It didn't make it.
No.
He crashed it.
But he survived.
And here's a picture that I shot for Chip Smoman, the record producer, who's in the picture here on the right side. They did this Class of 55 reunion album.
I remember I covered that too. They were here, all of them were here.
All week. And I was with them the whole week. And those guys were something special.
Carl Perkins, one of the nicest human beings I ever met.
So was Cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all super nice. Really nice people.
Well, you've had an incredible career. All right, now you're retired in Florida. How long ago did you retire?
No, I live in Ocean Springs.
Ocean Springs.
Yeah, and I'm going to show you one more picture.
Okay. Oh, wow.
That's a guy named Baryshnikov.
Baryshnikov.
Yeah.
Well, I knew it wasn't me.
Yeah.
My vertical jump is about 8 inches, so it is. Have you enjoyed your retirement?
Oh, I've loved every minute of it. It's been great. I don't take pictures anymore. I take family pictures on vacation, and I use my phone most of the time.
Most people do. I mean, phones are incredible now.
Yeah, and here's one last picture I'll show you.
Frank.
He was here for the Shower of Stars, where they honored St. Jude every year, and I was backstage, and Sinatra had a real bad reputation with photographers. He just didn't like them. And so I was backstage, and he walked over to me, and he said, "Well, who do you work for?" And I told him, and I said, And I said, I was afraid he was going to punch me out because he didn't like photographers. And so I said, well, I work for the newspaper, the Commercial Appeal. And I said, and actually, you're my page one picture tomorrow, and I need to get you on stage. And he said, well, you stand right down here in the corner of the stage, and I'll sing the first song and look right at you.
Wow.
And I said, gee, that's nice, but you really don't need to do that. But he did.
He did.
And but this is not the picture we ran. We ran another one where he's, now I've lost it, where he was looking away from me. And then I heard the next week he was down in Australia, and I heard he punched out a photographer down there. So I felt very fortunate that I made it through that thing.
There was a great story about Mr. Lucchese, who went to work for Jack Daniels. And Mr. Lucchese was from Memphis, and Frank was in New York performing at the Copacabana, I think, and they run out of Jack Daniels, and that was his favorite bourbon or drink of any kind. He calls Jack Daniels, one of his people, and said, you got to get some Jack Daniels here quick. They put Mr. Lucchese on a train with a case of bourbon, sitting to New York. He took it in there. And Frank Sinatra and Mr. Lucchese were lifelong friends after that.
I would think so.
Wherever Frank was playing, if Mr. Lucchese showed up, and he said that Frank had a barber chair that he had shipped to every place where he performed in his dressing room. And that's where they had put on his makeup and everything.
Yeah.
It was a barber chair. But he lived a life like no others. So.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, I really appreciate you coming in and sharing some of the stories with us. It's been fun and it's a great insight into your career.
Well, it's been a thrill. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, go back and enjoy your retirement and enjoy Lansky's and the Peabody while you're here.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. That is our show for today. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.